Jamie14 Productions presents VIII. Hello, so what's this all about? Well, Mario, I know exactly who is responsible for both the death crash and the attempt on Lemmy's life. Huh? And who is it? Mario, do you remember about 5 years ago when there was a mental health incident that occurred to all of us? Wait a minute. Do you mean the one where those bad swastika guys tried to kill us? Exactly. Wait. Joseph Stalin? Exactly. Years before that, he was released from jail before the Second World War because he had cancer. It all makes sense. Yes, I guess it does. How did you find this out? And where's the evidence you brought me over for? Well, it's basically, are you alright? You're sweating like mental. Yoshi, where is this evidence?
Right here, fatty. I wouldn't move if I was you. This gun's fully loaded, and I'm not afraid to use it.
Help!
Don't spoil the party, you little steam pot.
What the hell is going on? I'm so sorry, Mario. He kidnapped me and used me to lure you.
Now then, here's the deal. You'll stay where you are. Any attempt to escape or call the cops, then I'll blast you to 1,000,000 pieces. Me specifically. I don't want anything from you. It's my superior who would like to have a word with you.
Superior? What's superior? Let's just say he's my old owner. Old owner? Your old owner died of a disappearance 5 years ago. Don't give me that rubbish. Who is your old owner, anyway? Why don't you ask him yourself? Oh my God. How is this possible? You're supposed to be dead! Am I not dead? Oh, sorry about that. Anyways, it's lovely to see you again, fatty! Well, if it isn't the one and only Earth Devil, Adolf Hitler. What in God's name are you doing here? And how the bloody hell did you survive? Survive? What? I never had to survive anything. I faked my death back then so I could go undercover. But they did a happy back to normal celebration. I hate to tell you, but that was falsified. Aren't you forgetting my men do autopsies for a living? They were the one who, quotation marks, performed the autopsy. That's what they do for a living. So you didn't just falsify that happy back to normal celebration, but you even falsified an autopsy report? Yes, indeed. Very clever, you'll have to admit. Now then, I think I should remind you of why we are here today. Because you want to kill me? I'm not bloody stupid, you know. You're absolutely right, Mario. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. I think we need to explain why. Because you're a corrupted, despicable person. We all know what you tried to do back then with your business. That's because you bankrupt and tarnished my family. My father lost everything when your father broke ties. You slandered our legacy. He went into despair and drank himself to death. We were on the verge of losing our business before he died, but as he laid on his deathbed, I'd promised that I'd save our legacy and bring us back into happiness. You know what he told me? What? He told me that I needed to use any means possible to pull our family out of the ashes, and boy did I. Typical businessman. But here's the sad part. I came to your great-grandfather in all force begging for forgiveness. I wanted to change the negative image of my family that my father intended. And after I proved that I wouldn't be as corrupt as him, your great-grandfather greatly obliged. But that's the problem, you idiot. You became even more corrupt than your father. But it didn't have to be that way. You see, we entered a loyal friendship, and the friendship continued when you came into power in 1996. But then your great-grandfather tricked and betrayed me. When I saw the contract at first back then, it was written and narrated, I believe, that you would only be using my fuel for your engines. This brought in loads and loads of money, and I brought our family name back into glory. However, as soon as I decided to slightly raise the price of my fuel, just so I could make a tiny bit extra, you began using other fuels. At first I believed you in violation of the contract, but then I realised that you and your father and your great-grandfather and grandfather had specifically worded the contract so that there was a loophole where you could use whatever fuel you pleased from now. You had cheated me! First of all, it was more than just a slight raise of price. You skyrocketed the price, and that is the exact reason the contract was written in that way. You must have misread it because it clearly stated that your fuel would only be used if the prices were reasonable. Make all the excuses you want. You betrayed me in pure spite, and now my business was threatened. It wasn't just the price, you bonehead. You were just as corrupt as your father. It's all business, Mario, and you decided to play full, so I did exactly the same in return. By tampering with the other fuels to make it seem like yours was the only reliable fuel. Very clever. But I was smart, and I knew something was up. You didn't get away with it now, did you? If you had been to trial, they would have immediately found you guilty. And you know what? When I first heard that you had died, I immediately assumed that you had committed suicide because you knew you'd be caught. Why did you fake your death back in World War II? That seems like a very dumb thing to do. You wouldn't be able to get any more money. It would have been a good thing if you might as well should have really died. As a matter of fact, when I knew that I was in trouble, I considered suicide at first, but then I got a fantastic idea. If I had just killed myself, you all would have won. That just didn't sound acceptable for my family's legacy. I then realised what I needed. Revenge! And if I were to fake my death, no one would ever suspect me. That way, I could go undercover and serve justice deliciously. I stage an accent to tarnish legacy of the railway and get you booted out. And it worked marvellously. Until some idiot left my notebook full of evidence on the platform!
Yes, well, sorry about that.
In all fairness though, Stalin has been marvellous. He was a loyal worker to Doncaster Gunpowder before it was shut down. He was very close to the head of the company, and when he got arrested, he had nothing left. The owner of Doncaster Gunpowder was a close friend of mine, and so I felt I had the duty to help out with one of his most loyal workers. I instructed Stalin and a couple of others to steal gunpowder back then, so I could use it for my master plan. But unfortunately it failed, and Stalin ended up in prison.
That was until I got deadly cancer and was released from jail. I spent my final years at home. I owed Hitler a favour, so got in contact with him, and the plan went back into action. And what's more, I used to be a signalman many years ago, so I knew exactly how they all worked. I was able to hack into the signalman's communications, so I knew where all the trains were going.
As you've probably figured out, we tried many schemes to get you into trouble, and they were quite clever too. Who would have thought that we could have intended a Dean Goods to block the line? Or how we dislodged a boulder, but all those failed. I then decided that there was only one thing I could do. That is to get you killed. And now we've lured you into the right place. You've lost, fatty. You thought you could mess with me. Well, I'm afraid no longer. Smoky Joe, William, Tangmere, you're all possessed. Well, 98264, is this how you repay me? My great-grandfather gave you a home and work, and gave you many, many chances to improve yourself. Now, I'm the only one that would do that, and yet you've betrayed me, and tried to get me murdered. You're a strong engine. Make the right choice. Don't try and guilt-trip him, fatty. Remember that he was a gift given to your great-grandfather by me as a means of trying to repair the relationship between the Nintendos and the Hitlers. So, Hitler was his owner? Never told us it was him. Just said that he came from a businessman. I didn't think anyone around here would appreciate me using Hitler's engine until our relationship had been completely fixed. Just never got around to telling you all where we did. It's complicated, I'll explain later. Well, that's fair enough. Explain later? Did you forget that we're here for right now? There'll be no after for you. This is the end for all of you. And what will that accomplish? They'll find out it was you, and then you'll no longer be able to hide.
Oh, they won't know it was Hitler. We'll cover it up very well.
Exactly. And even if they do find out, I've got a private jet waiting to take me back to Austria. They won't catch me. I'm a free man. Oh, and there's one more thing I forgot to mention. It won't just be you folks meeting your end tonight. We have a train going to Burnt Island's fun fair, and it's full of explosives. What? Yes, we tricked one of the Koopelings to take it for us, and in about 30 minutes, the whole fun fair will go up in smoke. Oh, it'll be spectacular. We just thought it'd be fun to do some damage after we dealt with you. And we heard your brother will be there as well, so it will kill 3 birds with 1 stone. You, your brother, and that dinosaur bug. There's that. For example, hi. Remember we mentioned about Eunice? Tell him your own story. I am only a shadow of what I once was. A half pariah of some sort. Once I was strong and fast and reliable. A Grizzly A1 Pacific locomotive. I was the pride of the line, and I always pulled the express. I was even using my strength to help other engines from the LNER in need. And I gained a huge following because of it. These are the engines from the LNER, younger than me. Afton and Ludwig, and many others that became loyal to me, and they have remained loyal to this day. I was invincible. And then, one day, I was sent to work at a harbour where 2 Genki tank engines worked. You were one of them. That's impossible. My earliest memories of being brought to this railway meeting the other engine. Yes, well, terrible accidents do tend to happen all over the place, don't they? somewhere near this location. One night, I was due to pull the express. So many people came to witness my power in action. And when everything was ready, I stormed off. But you had been vain and tried to pull a train you didn't have a strength to pull. You were vain, and you stopped on the points just before the main line. By the time I saw you, it was too late. Somehow we survived. Both of us were mangled. We were nearly dead, but we didn't die. Some of the most brilliant minds in the manufacturing machine took us in. And with you they saw potentials, and they performed an experimental prototype on you. Experiment? Haven't you ever wondered why you're so powerful? Those builders took out my engine and then flanced it in your body, and from that day you were a hybrid of tank and tender engine. Stronger and faster than both steam types could ever be. It may have cost you your memories of the life up to that point, but oh, did the pluses say were the minuses. As for me, I was nowhere near as lucky. I was put in this tank engine body, this old, creaking, dungeon gen turtle! We're an old lawyers down to it. They saved you and left me to rust. All they could talk about was their success with you. How hurting is that? Exactly, now my plan's bent to action. Is this how you please yourself, Hitler? By murdering innocent people?
I was practicing. I'm afraid that's how it works. Sorry about Alfred. I was able to put on a disguise and sneak into the coach and deal with him. But that's life. Sometimes you have to do what you have to do.
And speaking of which, we'll have to put dynamite in this engine to prevent him from talking and turn him into a demon. We'll do that after we deal with you, fatty. Mark my words, if you kill us, or any of our engines, or any of our people, the remaining staff and people and engines will hunt you down and will not stop until they've ripped your head from your body and crushed it with a boulder. Sorry, fatty, you're not scaring me. Stalin, do the honor. Oh no. Now let's get out of here and get more revenge on them. No. No, not a move, Jimmy, old boy. Driver, couple him up. Don't worry, boss, we got you now, you're safe. Men, how on earth did you manage to save us? During spare time we were making speculations of who it could be for all this crap, and when we saw the footage, we could make out you being held hostage. We then alerted the authorities and came to the rescue. Oh no, wait, the funfair at Burnt Island's gonna blow up! Oh damn, we've got to warn them! And so we shall. I'll use my cell phone to call them, and in the meantime we must rush over there to help. There's not a moment to lose. Tally-ho! Then they escaped to warn them. To be continued in part 9. This is halfway through the movie,